Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I am here with another special guest, uh, Shikha Chaudhry, who is the co-founder of DevBytes. Shikha's journey spans across product, media, technology, and many more things. So in this episode, we will unpack her evolution from who she was before DevBytes and NewBytes to building one of the most efficient tech news engines in the country. But before we proceed further with this session, I would like to thank Shikha for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Amit. Um, so I am an engineer turned entrepreneur. I did my bachelor's from NIT Allahabad, then went to the US, did my master's from Cornell, and then came back and started this company, NewsBytes, um, in the year 2015. And I have two more co-founders. So what we are essentially trying to do is we are wanting to change the landscape of media with the help
Mm-hmm.
of technology. Now AI is the buzzword. Everyone talks about generative AI and stuff like that. But we have been at it since 2017, 2018, of course, at a smaller scale, where we built our own AI engine, Yantra, that could just not collate the information for you, but also write the articles. And of course, after Chat GPT and stuff like that, things have become more streamlined. They are faster, and we're in the process of collating all the information in the world, in the form of news, in the form of developer contents, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Yeah, so like before we start talking about this product and how you guys are working with this tool, I just want to know about the Shikha first. So let's rewind it a bit, before DevBytes, News Bytes. Who was Shikha Chaudhry? Well, my question is, were you always a tech media product person, or did life push you into this on the later go? So how was your journey?
Right. So not certainly not. Life didn't push me into this direction. I think I
Okay.
very, very consciously took this decision where, like I said, I was an engineer. I am an engineer. I was very, very interested in technology, new products, especially software products, used to fascinate me from, during my engineering days.
Mm-hmm.
And I also consider myself a little bit of a creative person. So,
Okay.
once technology and creativity, they intersect, that's where News Bytes and Dev Bytes and any other media company sort of comes into play. So, yeah, it wasn't something which happened to me. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the path that I always wanted to take, where, we could use technology to create great products and sort of use the creativity in whatever little sense that we could, and which is how I landed up here.
Okay, so now let's talk about this dev bytes. So maybe like there are some of the audience member who have never heard about this product or the kind of work you guys are contributing. So could you just for those person, could you explain this concept, this tool in a very layman terminology, like what is dev bytes, how it is helping the community?
All right. So, DevBytes, as the name suggests, it's a
Mm-hmm.
tool for developers. It
Okay.
is certainly not, a news app. It is certainly not sort of an AI tool. Everyone, it's a highly abused word now. Everyone keeps talking about AI, AI, AI. It is
Right.
certainly not that. AI is something which is helping us develop this product, DevBytes, but it is not, that could be the secret sauce, but
Mm-hmm.
DevBytes, for the listeners, is an Android app, is an iOS app. We also have a Chrome extension where, what we do is, so there are two things, what developers are in, actually three things, what developers do in their professional life.
Mm-hmm.
First is the IDE, where they sort of spend most of their hours coding themselves to glory. That
Right.
is not a space that we touch. That is where, the biggies like VS Code and stuff like that exist. The other two things that, a developer does through the day in their professional life is, A, they
Mm-hmm.
want to always read and sort of upskill themselves by reading, the content which is important, which is pertinent to their line of work. And the other thing that they are, in our understanding, what they do is, most of the developers are productivity junkies.
Yeah.
They're always looking for hacks, they're always looking for ways to increase their productivity. I think because most developers are ambitious and they all want to, sort of grow faster in their career. I think which is why they are A, upskilling themselves, and B, always looking to be more productive. So
Yeah.
that's the exact way where DevBytes comes. So what we do is that, we provide you the content in the form that you can easily churn, easily sort of absorb. We'll come to that. I'll talk about that, the format a little later.
Yeah.
But so if you are, for example, a PHP developer, you're only ever interested in what's happening in the world of PHP, whether it's a tips and trick or a new framework which has come, or whatever language changes have happened, and so on and so forth. So what we do is we filter the news for a PHP developer, or for an Android developer, or for a Java developer, or a JavaScript developer, and so on. So we provide you the filtered content for according to your line of work,
Okay.
and then we give you some sort of technology news, because that's what you're broadly interested in the form of content. So that helps you with upskilling. That also helps you with keeping abreast with what's happening in the tech world. The second thing that, where we play is where we can improve your productivity by using,
Hmm.
different kinds of tools. We don't do that in the Android or iOS app because that does not make sense.
Yeah.
But the extension that we have, we have, we have designed it in such a way that if you use it, you can use the calendar, you can use the notes, and so on and so forth. All the tools that you use, we have integrated them into the extension, and which helps you in increasing your productivity. So
Hmm.
those are the two uh, places that where we play. A is your content needs, where you can upskill yourself even if you spend just 7-8 minutes on the app, because there's
Yeah.
just no noise there. It's only the content pertinent to what's going to help you in your career.
Hmm.
The second thing is, if you use that extension, you become more productive throughout the day in your professional life. So that's essentially what DevBytes does.
Okay. And
Or that
just
will
one
answer
question.
to your question.
Yeah, just one question on the tool. Like as you mentioned, like it is for the developer. So do we are we providing any kind of customization features also? Like let's say if there is a developer who is interested in PHP as well as he is interested in machine learning or maybe Python. So like is there any option through which they can customize the content or how like it goes?
So there are two ways. First is simple filtering. When you
Mm-hmm.
log in, or when you download the app, there are tags. You can select the tags that you're interested in, and you will be provided content based on the filtering that you did.
Yeah.
But over time, sometimes you do not select the right tag. Sometimes, over time you become more interested in something else.
Right.
Um, so what we do is we also sprinkle some of the content which is adjacent to what you have selected. All right.
Okay.
So if you see that you spend more time in, content adjacent to what you have selected, we provide more shots, more content based on those tags. So it learns from your reading experience, it learns from your reading behavior, but you can always customize it, and you can have all the control by selecting whichever tags you, excuse me, deem fit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's both actually. It is actively where you filter the content that you want to read, but it is also passive where we understand your reading behavior and then provide you the content that is pertinent, that we think is pertinent.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I believe like these kind of features like customization and time to time updates are these are the features that led this product to more than 6 lakhs plus developers. So that is a huge number, and nowadays like every day everyone's talking about this tool in order to get the domain knowledge or the specific interest knowledge. So what do you think like when you started it, it for sure like there were initial 100 user look for you, right? So what did the first 100 user look like, and how did you convince them to stay till like the user number is now almost 6 lakh plus, right? So what do you think, like what are those core thing that convince them to stay throughout the journey?
Right. So right off the bat, I'll tell you, Amit, there is no way you can convince a user, a
Mm-hmm.
fickle-minded user, or any user who is spoiled for choices.
Right.
You can't convince them to stay on your product if they don't like it.
Correct.
It's very simple. It's just a press of a button where they can uninstall the app, and you've forgotten.
Right.
So it is a crowded market. So there is no way you can convince unless your product talks for yourself for itself. But yes, I think initial 100 users are very important. They
Mm-hmm.
help you decide the trajectory that you want to take. In your gut, you want to do this, that, but the
Right.
first 100, 200, 500 users sort of shape your trajectory. Um,
Right.
and you take active feedback from them, and then you're obsessed about making them happy. So yes, those users, the initial users, play a very, very important role. um, but I like to say that, even the number that we are at now, 600,000, more than that, we are still obsessed. We are still, like, cliche as it sounds, we are still wanting to satisfy every single one of them.
Hmm.
I tell my, our job, even if one user is happy with the type of content that we provide, or with the app experience and so on and so forth, it is a day well spent. So every single user is very, very important for us. It sounds cliche, I know that, but it's how obsessive we are in terms of the product that we create, in terms of the content that we provide. Our idea is to make everyone happy, and we
Right.
take feedback very, very, I'd say, personally, where even today, I go to Play Store and check every single feedback reviews that we get, and sort of then incorporate in the app, sit with the product team, sit with the content team, so as to make it perfect. So yes, every single we're still at that level where you know where we were personally talking to the 100 users, but I would very much like to personally talk to the 600,000 users that we have today. You
Right.
know.
Okay. All right. So, Shika, now I just want to talk about one of your tagline because when I saw about this product, so I found that news in 64 words. So, which is quite new for I'm sure for the developers also. So, what do you think? Like, what's the psychology behind the bite-sized tech consumption, and why you and your team chose 64 words? So, what is the psychology behind this?
Right. When we were starting, we knew, when we were starting DevBytes, that is, from our learnings from NewsBytes, we
Mm-hmm.
knew that as a country, I think we're not really a reading nation. We are a watching nation, so to speak.
Right.
Because everyone, I think we know that everyone's attention is diminishing.
Right.
People are not really into long form reading, right? So, which, and some things, you can say in 60, in a short form. You don't need a lengthy article for that. Things
Right.
can be said, less is more, like they say. So things can be said, but because of the SEO pressure, or stuff like that, people unnecessarily make it long. So our idea is to be information dense, but be as crisp as possible. All right. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the idea between short form, because we do believe that attention spans are decreasing. And it's not that everything requires a lengthy article to be read. And it's important that my reader reads the article today rather than bookmarking it and reading it later, which that time will never come. We have all done that. We all bookmark stuff and then think that we'll do a 1500 read over the weekend. That doesn't happen. So a
Correct.
short form read now is very, very important for me, is very fulfilling for me, rather than my reader thinking that he'll read something after whenever he gets time. So that is the whole idea between the short form journalism, so to speak. And 64 words is, I think, a bit of a, I think, the geeky us that we were, bits and bytes. So everything was
Right.
a factor of eight, and which is why we settled on 64 words.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, like when we look towards your journey, we can simply see that you have built multiple products, whether it's a news byte, dev bytes, and Cricketpedia. So, what do you think? Like, what's the common between building the product for the masses and for the developers? Did you find any similarity between those, or maybe any differences that you have observed between these two kind of products?
Okay. So yes, you're right. NewsBytes is more of a generic product where,
Yeah.
a 25-year-old CA is also our customer, and a 40-year-old engineer, or a product manager is also the customer. So NewsBytes is, it has a larger range. It is a product for masses.
Hmm.
DevBytes, however, is pretty niche, where from the word go we knew that we are developing it for developers, building it for developers, and also not across the entire spectrum of developers, but people who are fairly new into their jobs, or who have around 4 to 5 years of experience, because once you touch that 7, 8 years of experience, you know what you want to read. Your
Mhm.
reading habits are set. That's not something we are trying to disrupt at the moment. Our idea is that somebody who is just starting his career, or who has a few years of experience, who is wanting to learn more, who is trying to upskill, that is the target audience for us. So, yes, the target audiences are very different. But I think as far as wanting to create a world-class product, I think
Mhm.
that obsession remains the same. We believe that we are not just competing when talking about news bites, for example. I don't think we're competing with NDTVs of the world only.
Yeah.
We are also competing with Instagram. We're also competing with Twitter. Why? Because a user has only those many hours. So are they
Right.
spending their hours on Instagram, getting their news howsoever, or are they going to a mainstream media house, right?
Right.
My guess is most people are going to Instagram and Twitter now. So we are
Correct.
also competing with them, with these companies, these big tech companies. So same is the case with DevBytes. You if you are wanting to consume content, there's no dearth of information, or there's no dearth of sort of content which is available.
Mhm.
So the idea is, of course, to give you a very sort of fulfilling experience, where if you read something on DevBytes, it stays with you. And then you have this kind of a, when once you complete our daily digest, which consists of some 32 hand-picked shots every day, you have that kind of a completion, sense of completion, that you've done your reading for the day. You know,
Hmm.
so we send a notification at 9 o'clock in the morning. The idea is that you spend 7, 8 minutes, you complete the digest that I'm speaking about, and then you know that you're starting your day on a high note, where your reading for the day is done. That's the DNA of the organization. So yes, building a product which is for niche, which is niche, and building a product which is for masses, uh, you know, uh, it is different, but it is still the same.
Okay.
Your obsession to create the world class product is more or less the same. Your idea to provide factually correct information is more or less the same.
Hmm.
The way you are using technology more or less is the same. The nature of the kind of content that NewsBytes does and the nature of content that DevBytes does is different. But I think the core philosophy of the organization is still the same.
Okay. All right. So now let's take the discussion bit on the technical side, because most of the viewers are from the tech background. So let's talk how does DevBytes work on the backend? So we just wanted to know, like, uh, is it based on the large language model LLMs, or do you have any fine-tuned domain specific models, or maybe whatever information you can share? Just let us know, like, how exactly it is working on the backend side.
All right. So it's definitely not our LLMs. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think we are confident enough for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely fine-tuned models for us,
Okay.
but we use a bunch of technologies from different companies. We use open source LLMs, like, for example, DeepSeek, but we've also used, or Llama for that matter, for fact checks.
Mm-hmm.
But we predominantly work with OpenAI's products. So these are the LLMs, but we, of course, we have to sort of fine tune them. We have a huge data set for ourselves, so we've trained them on our data, but most of it is fine tuning.
Okay. Okay, and another thing, we can clearly see that handling 6 lakh plus users it means serious engineering, right? We need a proper maintenance of the product. We need a proper reviews and all these things. So what do you think? Like, what were the biggest scaling bottlenecks when you were building this product and managing this product?
Oh gosh. Yes, it is serious engineering.
Yeah.
And the idea for us is that we are never, like, even when we were starting up, the idea was never to build for today. The idea was always to build for future. Even
Future.
before, there was a product market fit for us, even before there was a team, so to speak, in place.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea was always to, it's like creating roads or creating bridges. You do not create a road, the size of the road, keeping in mind the traffic for today, right? That's
Right.
ideally should be the case. It's not the case in our country. That's a different matter. But you have to keep 10 years in horizon in mind, when you're creating infrastructure. Similarly, when you're working with a digital product like DevBytes, you have to keep scale in mind from the word go.
Right.
So, like I said, even before there was a product market fit, we were prepared, 2 years in advance. So we were
Mm-hmm.
prepared for a few thousand, 100,000 users from the word go. And I have a co-founder who handles this. It is actually specialization. So scalability was baked into the system from the very beginning. And even
Right.
today, I think we are 2 3 years technology wise. I don't know. Maybe we are lacking. Maybe we are not lacking. The world is changing very very fast. But scalability wise and infrastructure wise, I think we are already 2 years ahead for ourselves. So miraculously, if we get another million, 2 million, 3 million users, we know that scalability won't be a problem for us.
Yeah, and I'm also agree that scaling content is hard, and scaling the tech content is even harder. So, like, how do you ensure the accuracy? Because when we talked about accuracy, sometimes the system slow down and it not expect respond in an expected way. So, how like we are making taking care of the accuracy? Although, like you mentioned that thing, like how you guys are taking care of the bottlenecks. So, for accuracy, like, is there any particular uh, sprint that you are running in order to make sure that yes, everything is accurate and the data is not the system is not slowing down?
Right. So there are two questions there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so you'll be surprised to know that whatever content that we produce through the day in DevBytes, there's just one person manning the entire desk.
Okay.
Most of it is done by AI ML, the AI engine that we have, from content sourcing to writing, to doing the research, then to
Mm-hmm.
writing that content piece in our format, to choosing the right headlines, to doing the tagging. More everything is done by the AI engine. It's like I'd say it's almost 90% automated. And then there's one human whose job is to do the factual correct, who has to check whether the facts are right or not. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because these machines can hallucinate. So there is an LLM which does the research and then writing part, and then there is a fact check module also. But beyond that, there's a human layer who does the factual, who is there for factual, to maintain the factual accuracy.
Okay.
So that's about most of it is automation. We are at a point where we can run the desk 24 cross 7 even without a human. But because of the nature of job that we do, you can't provide anything remotely misleading to the developers or to the news junkies. So which is why it is a combination of machines and humans, but 90% of the heavy lifting is done by machines. The other thing that you said was that these machines don't slow down.
Slow down.
Yes, that is again the infrastructural bit, where you have to ensure there are right servers, and there are multiple caching layers and so on and so forth. And I think I'm fairly confident in that bit of what we do. That
Mm-hmm.
engineering, that DevOps sort of work that we do. So yeah.
Okay.
But as far as content is concerned, we are at a position where most of it is now automated for us.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, if we talk about your another exposure, like you have a good exposure on the startup thing, right? As a woman, a leading woman, you are all already running multiple startup and you have built it in a successful way. So I just want to know about like that one thing, like that you strongly disagree with most of the startup founder believe, like any particular thing that you think is a kind of myth regarding the startups in India. So what is your thought on this?
Okay. I think I'll just speak about my space, which is predominantly now AI ML.
Mm-hmm.
There is this saying where technology is always um, underestimated in the short term
Mm-hmm.
and overestimated in the long term. Sorry, I,
Right.
I mixed it. It is underestimated in the long term and
Long term,
overestimated in
yeah.
the yeah, short term.
Right.
I think that is where the market is today. Right now, people believe that everything AI will come and take up their job. Everything will be automated. There will be no humans left, so to speak, at workplaces and so on and so forth. Even entrepreneurs believe it. And there's a thin line between being super technology optimist and then being realist. I think that's where I disagree with most of the startup AI entrepreneurs. I don't think machines are going to take, whatever we do. I don't think so. Of course, the changes are happening. Of course, the world is moving at a great pace. But in my humble view, I think it's always going to be a combination of machines and humans. Like I said, even what the operations that we run, most of the work is done by the AI ML machines, but still
Right.
we have a human layer, and still we are going to keep that human layer in the foreseeable future, because I don't think these machines can autonomously do things that humans are always going to add that much more value, I believe.
Okay.
So that's where I think I disagree.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Like, although like we have plenty of things that we can discuss here, Shikha, but we have a limited time. So I just want to ask my last question, and that is related to the support of network, because we all believe that everyone needs a mentor or a guide in a life. So looking back on your journey, like who are those key people who influenced your journey and who have shaped the way you think, work, or lead today?
I'm going to say two people, both are dead.
Okay.
um One is Steve Jobs. Like most of the startups of, like most of the entrepreneurs of my generation, I think. The obsession that he had with product, the obsession that he had with customers,
Mm-hmm.
and the um, multiple things that he has changed in his life. I think that's where I go back and read about him, and I draw a lot of inspiration from. Sometimes you are at a loss of. Uh, it is a very lonely journey, entrepreneurship. So sometimes
Yes.
you do not know what to do. Sometimes you're stuck. So cliche as it sounds, I go back and read about Steve Jobs, and I think it gives me a lot of energy. The other
Okay.
person is my grandfather, who came back to India after partition, started from nothing, and build whatever he built in his lifetime. So I think the lessons that he has imparted to me, um, I think those are very important for me, and I derive a lot of energy from what he has done, because he has walked the talk for me. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
him up close. So I know the value of hard work from him. So
Right.
that is where I sort of shape my worldview as far as professional life and my personal life is concerned.
Okay. All right. So yeah, thank you so much, Shikha, for joining us in this episode and for sharing about your startup journey, the product that you have built. So wish you a good luck with the product and for your upcoming products also. So thank you once again for being a part of the show.
Thanks for having me. Take care.